Wake up, Helldivers! A brand new patch has dropped, and guess what? They have finally fixed damage over time effects working, well, or not working, I guess. I was going to say only working for the host, but now they work for everyone, apparently. Now, this hasn't been comprehensively tested just yet, and as we do know, there are sometimes patch notes where they say things have been fixed and they actually haven't been fixed, or it causes another issue. However, this is in the patch notes right now. Testing is underway, but as far as we are aware, damage over time effects now work for everyone in the lobby. That means that if you're using flamer weaponry or even a thermite grenade, the damage over time effects will apply. This is a huge buff to fire damage though, guys. I cannot stress how insane this will be, especially against Terminids. The only thing that you can't really kill is a bile tie, and everything else, you can annihilate them. Okay, let's break this patch down because it's a juicy one. Patch 1.000.302. A democratic day to you, Helldivers and citizens. Today we bring you yet another patch addressing various freedom hampering issues. And this is the patch overview. For this patch, we have made improvements and changes to the following areas: some weapon and enemy balancing, crash fixes, social menu issues, damage over time damage fix, misaligned scopes fix, general fixes, and improvements. So let's kick this off with the balancing. This is primary, secondary, and support weapons. Now, this is for the R9 Eruptor, and we knew this change was coming. This was teased last week. But increased explosion damage by 40 and removed shrapnel from the explosion. This is to avoid cases in which players would randomly one-shot themselves or their teammates in a huge radius around the explosion. Now, of course, this happened to me. Remember, I made a video thinking it was actually projectiles being reflected back because of the ricochet changes. Actually, it wasn't. It was just the Eruptor exploding and the shrapnel killing everyone around it, or doing enough damage to you, the firer of the weapon, to actually kill you at what seemed like crazy ranges. Now, to fix this, they've kind of gone the easy way, and they've just removed the shrapnel from the weapon. So instead of trying to tone the shrapnel down and keep it as part of the weapon, they've got rid of it. But actually, this is a massive buff for the Eruptor, because they're literally straight up giving it an extra 40 damage. I mean, that is insane. That is a massive buff. That is an absolutely massive buff for this weapon. So this is going to be super strong. But again, it's still going to have the issue of you don't want to fire this at close range, because it still explodes. It will still blow up buildings, cargo containers, factories, bug holes and all of that stuff. It's still explosive, and fences and stuff like that. So it'll still do that, but it's now got 40 damage. So this actually is a massive buff for the weapon. And I mean, yeah, this is one of my favorite weapons. So I love it. Buff the weapons. So that's all it is for the weapon changes. Now we're going to move on to the enemy changes. Increased Shrieker sight and hearing range slightly. Increased Gunship hearing range slightly. Now, I think this is to counter the fact that you can, well, it's very easy to blow up the mushrooms, isn't it, where the Shriekers spawn from. And they don't really, just destroy it from range. If you've got an autocannon, eat rockets, anything with range, you can just blow them up from miles away. You don't actually end up fighting the Shriekers. I think what they're trying to do is make the Shriekers a bit more angry. So they will basically see you a lot earlier and hear you a lot earlier, and then move over to engage you. So it'll add a different dynamic to taking them out. What's interesting with the gunships is they've only done the hearing range. Now, I'm not sure what sight and hearing range correlates to. I mean, you'd imagine the sight range means they can detect you further out, and hearing is if you're not seen, but they can hear you. If you're like hiding behind cover, they know you're there and they'll come around and find you. The thing with the gunships is they generally know where you are anyway, and it looks really odd because they've got this sort of like red scanner laser beam at the front, and you think they'd need to scan you before they'd fire at you, and they sort of, well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I don't know, it's a bit odd. But anyway, the flying enemies are going to be more deadly because they're going to be able to engage you earlier, because they're going to be able to detect you earlier. Although it looks like the Shriekers have been buffed more than the gunships. Let's move on to the fixes. We have fixed issues with the way damage over time effects were being applied. This should fix issues where only the network session owner could apply them, and other cases where they would be applied inconsistently. Now, this is the big, giant, huge change of this patch, because it means that finally, for the first time in almost 4 months, the flamer will actually function for anyone who selects it, instead of it being a literal roll of the dice to hope that you end up as network host so your weapon will work. If not, you've come into the game with a weapon that simply doesn't work. Now, this obviously extends to things like I've got the name of it. I want to say the incinerator. It's the incendiary liberator thing. It extends to that. Oh, no, it's not the Liberator, is it? They changed that to concussive. It's the shotgun. Whatever. The one that sets things on fire. That will now work for everyone. That will now be super strong. The Flamer will now be super strong. Incendiary mines will now be much stronger than they were before. The Thermite Grenade will now be much better than it was before because it will apply its damage over time for everyone, irregardless of who is the host. So this is going to be huge against bugs. Honestly, massive. The Flamer is very strong against bugs. It can annihilate charges. You basically can kill everything apart from Bile Titan. So this is just insane, right? Massive buff. Get out there and use flame weapons. They're now crazy, crazy strong. Firing the Plasma Punisher while wearing a shield backpack no longer damages the Helldiver. Again, this is a good change. This was obviously insane that this actually happened, but we actually know why this happened because one of the devs confirmed it's to do with changing the hitbox size of the Plasma Punisher's round when you fire it, and that meant it would interact with the shield, but they fixed this now, which is good news. Fixed issues with some weapon scopes not being aligned in first-person view. Now, I've not actually tested all of the weapons as of the recording of this video. I hope this means the AMR is fixed, because the AMR is one of my favourite weapons, but the scope is misaligned, and it's absolutely annoying to use, because sometimes you think, oh yeah, I'll just aim through the scope. Oh wait, it was misaligned. Now, hopefully, they've fixed that, but this is good news, because this again was one of those annoying, janky things that made the game feel not as polished as it should be. So this is good stuff. Nice one, Arrowhead. The sound when stimming no longer plays while being interrupted. That's a nice change as well, because you think you've stimmed yourself, but you haven't. And this happens like literally 10 times every game, especially against the bugs. You've got the hunters jumping on you and you're trying to stim. The sound effect's going off, but your health bar isn't going up. You're like, where's the stim? But it's because you've been interrupted while you were about to stim yourself. But yeah, that's good, because this is a better audio cue, so now at least we'll know the stim hasn't gone off. Major orders with the kill task now track score correctly. Previously, it counted the entire squad's kills once for each player, meaning it would multiply the score by the number of people in the mission. This is now amended. So this is an admission that when we killed 2 billion bugs, we didn't actually. We killed 500 million. And it was multiplied by 4. So the next massive order we get to kill loads of bugs or bots or whatever else, yeah, it's going to take a bit longer to finish. Helldivers can no longer land on tall rocks in the Horde Defend missions. Now, this is just a change to stop you getting into a position where you were kind of safe from any attack other than long-range attacks. So I guess it makes sense. Helldivers can no longer land on top of bug pillars in deactivate terminated control system missions. So again, same type of thing. They don't want you up there because obviously the game isn't really designed for players to be hidden miles in the sky on some piece of terrain. Fix for the reinforced stratagem not being present if a Helldiver leaves the session before readying up and then hot joining the active session. And this leads us into the crash fixes, so let's blast through these. Fix the crash that could occur when all players were dead on the deactivate terminated control system mission. Fix the crash that could occur on game shutdown. Fix the crash that could occur when leaving the mission and rejoining. Fix the crash that could occur at the end of cutscenes. Fix the crash that could occur when driving into missions. Diving, sorry, not driving. Who's driving into what? It's Helldivers, mate. Diving into missions. Fix the tutorial crash that could occur on PC when alt-tabbing. Fixed a rare crash that could occur when using beam weapons. Fixed a rare crash that could occur for players on startup when using a VPN. Fixed a soft lock that could occur if the player would open the text chat while having the strategy menu open. Other general crash fixes. And then we've got some social menu fixes. So PC players adding friends through the friends code can no longer show up as unknown. Fixed overlapping footers inside menus. Steam friends should now be visible in social menu, even though friends list is not set to public in Steam privacy settings. Recent players list will now include hot joining players. Players are now able to unlock players. Unblock, sorry. Why would you unlock a player? Unblock players that were not in their friends list beforehand. Fixed an issue with empty friend names in social menu. Lobby privacy mode text updates immediately when changed. Player names longer than 26 characters should now update properly in the social menu. Fixed issue where non-host players could kick others indiscriminately, including the host. Oh, what? Total purchase counter on the right side of the robotics workshop section no longer displays 7 of 8 despite all stratagems being purchased. Thank you. And resolves some edge cases related to Steam app ID related errors on login. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the patch notes. As I said, big news is the flame weapons, the damage over time weapons are fixed, and I guess the scopes are fixed as well. Go out there, test these weapons. Let's see if they're actually fixed. Because I don't want to just sit here and go, oh yeah, it's all fixed, it's all working great, because we're not sure. We need to go test this. But yeah, good news is at least they think it's fixed, so they put them in the patch notes. If it is, then I think flame weapons are going to be incredible. And remember, the Eruptor has got a massive buff here as well. An extra 40 damage. That's actually insane. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.